You went viral when you broke into tears telling Lil Durk not to retaliate in King Von's death.
You know, it was so emotional because Durk, he said, I need you to come here, right? He said, we could do it in Miami, whatever, but I need you to come here because I need you to talk to these. That's what he told me. He said, I need you to talk to him, Wallo. I need you to talk to him. I said, all right, I got him. And when I get there, I didn't know it was gonna be that many. It was like 100 of them. We in the basement in Chicago. It's 100 of them.
Them niggas, they ready to ride?
Yeah, no, they just was there, you know.
Okay, they wanted to hear what you wanted to say.
No, it wasn't even that. They didn't even know why they was there. Durk was like, we gonna do it in the hood.
Okay.
I want you to holler at them, boom, boom,
Okay.
boom. So I'm like, I got you. When I got there, I'm like, he like, man, listen, I need you to holler at him. It just so happened that when I'm talking to him, I understand, because I'm talking to a couple of them on the side, and I understand that nothing is more important in the ghetto than revenge. Revenge is king.
Yeah.
Did you feel like your life was over?
Yeah, nah.
Yeah,
nah.
I know Quando said he felt like he had an out-of-body experience. Do you feel the same though?
Wallo267 broke down in a rare public outburst after watching Lil Tim's full account of the night King Von was killed. The moment arrived years after the Atlanta shooting, just as federal pressure on OTF and Lil Durk reached its peak. What began as one man's recollection of self-defense suddenly cast new light on the people standing closest to Von that night and the silence that followed. Viewers immediately sensed the shift. The internet zeroed in on a single uncomfortable possibility. Why did certain individuals remain quiet for so long? What details in Lil Tim's testimony still do not align with the official narrative? Who stood to gain from the chaos that night? And how much of the story was never meant to surface? To understand what Wallo reacted to, and why it still unsettles the streets, we have to go back to the parking lot where everything changed. The moment Wallo267 pressed play on Lil Tim's interview, the entire room seemed to freeze. He sat forward in his chair, eyes locked on the screen, and within minutes his jaw tightened so hard the veins in his neck stood out. Lil Tim's voice came through calm and steady as he described the Atlanta parking lot that night, but every word landed like a hammer. Wallo muttered under his breath, "This ain't just a street story no more," and then his voice rose. Y'all been selling the public one version while the real pages stayed buried. The camera caught him slamming his hand on the table hard enough to rattle the water bottle. Fans watching the clip later said the sound alone made their stomachs drop. Lil Tim leaned into the microphone and dropped the first detail that shifted everything. He claimed that before the first punch was thrown he already felt eyes on them from multiple directions, not just Von's crew. It felt like somebody already knew the ending, Lil Tim said. Wallo replayed that line 3 times, shaking his head each time. "You hear that?" he shouted at the empty room. Somebody already knew the ending. That means the fight wasn't spontaneous. That means the stage was set. The statement spread across timelines within the hour. Comments flooded in from every corner of the culture. One fan wrote, "If Lil Tim is telling the truth, then half the stories we believed just collapsed." Another simply posted a broken heart emoji next to King Von's face. Quando Rondo's name entered the conversation next, and the temperature climbed higher. According to people close to the Savannah camp, Quando had been silent for a reason. A source claimed that hours after the shooting, Quando sat in a hospital hallway staring at the floor, repeating the same sentence to anyone who would listen, "I didn't call for this." Wallo seized on that detail. "You don't say, 'I didn't call for this' unless somebody else did," he argued on camera. Somebody else put the pieces in motion and left Quando holding the bag. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. Fans who once defended every side now found themselves arguing in the replies, some defending Quando, others demanding he speak again. Then an unexpected voice cut through the noise. A lesser-known OTF affiliate who had stayed quiet for years suddenly posted a vague story that read, "Some of y'all wasn't even outside that night, but still got the loudest opinions." The post disappeared within minutes, but screenshots lived forever. Wallo saw it and lost the last of his restraint. "You see that?" he barked. "That's the sound of a conscience waking up too late. These people know more than they're saying, and the silence is starting to crack." The clip of Wallo's reaction racked up hundreds of thousands of views before the sun went down. Emotions inside the Durk camp reportedly ran just as high. One associate described a heated phone call in which someone close to Lil Durk slammed a door so hard the frame shook. "We lost Vaughn, and now they want to rewrite the whole night," the voice allegedly yelled. "Ain't nobody rewriting nothing." The second-hand account spread fast. Fans began debating whether the anger was pure grief or something closer to fear that older secrets might surface. Wallo addressed it directly. "Grief I understand. I lived through my own. But this energy feels different. This energy feels like people protecting a version of events that keeps certain names clean." A fresh twist arrived when a Chicago street figure with ties to both sides claimed that Vaughn had received a strange phone call earlier that same evening. The caller, according to the story, warned Vaughn to stay away from certain blocks that night. Vaughn allegedly laughed it off. Wallo paused the interview again when he heard the claim. "You telling me somebody tried to pull him back and he still walked into that parking lot?" His voice cracked for the first time. That means the danger wasn't random. That means the danger had a name and a number. The room went quiet as he wiped his face with both hands. Online, the reactions multiplied. Older fans who grew up on the early OTF tapes posted long paragraphs about loyalty and how it dies the moment money and cameras enter the picture. Younger listeners simply typed "This is crazy" under every new clip. One viral thread collected every public statement ever made about that night and highlighted the contradictions in red. The thread reached tens of thousands of likes before anyone in the camps could respond. Wallo watched the numbers climb and shook his head. The public is doing the investigation the industry refused to do. Another layer dropped when a former security guard who worked the Atlanta area that weekend spoke on condition of anonymity. He said he remembered two unfamiliar faces lingering near the parking lot long before the fight started. They never approached anyone. They just watched. When the shooting began, they were already gone. Wallo seized the detail like a lifeline. Two faces that nobody claims. Two faces that disappeared the second the first shot rang out. That is not coincidence. That is choreography. The statement sent another wave of speculation through the timelines. Lil Tim's interview continued to supply fuel. He described the exact moment he realized the situation had gone past the point of talking. His voice stayed even, but the weight behind the words was obvious. "I didn't come there looking for bodies," he said. "I came there because my people were there." Wallo pointed at the screen. Listen to how careful he is with every sentence. That man is walking through a minefield in real time and still choosing to speak. Meanwhile, half the people who were supposed to love Vaughn still won't open their mouths. Family members on different sides reportedly felt the pressure. One relative of Vaughn's was said to have broken down in a private conversation, asking why the full truth still felt locked away. Another relative from the opposite side allegedly replied that some truths only bring more funerals. The exchange, if real, revealed how deep the fracture had become. Fans who heard the rumor treated it as confirmation that the pain had never healed. Wallo addressed the families with unusual softness. "I know what it feels like to lose somebody and still not have every answer. That hole never closes. But silence only makes the hole deeper." A different rapper from the young boy circle entered the fray with a cryptic caption under an old photo of Vaughn. The caption read, "Some goodbyes were planned longer than we knew." The post stayed up for less than an hour before it was deleted, yet the damage was done. Wallo saw the screenshot and leaned back in his chair as if the air had left the room. Now the other side is talking in riddles too. Everybody knows something. Nobody wants to be the first to say it out loud. The observation felt like a challenge thrown at the entire culture. By this point, the original interview had become secondary to the storm it created. Every new claim produced another claim. Every silence produced another theory. Wallo kept returning to the same core question in different forms. If the fight was pure emotion, why do so many details feel rehearsed? If everybody was caught off guard, why do certain people still refuse to look the public in the eye? The questions piled up without answers, and the audience kept watching because the absence of answers had become the story itself. One more voice surfaced from an unexpected direction. A producer who had worked with both camps in the past claimed he overheard a conversation weeks before the shooting in which someone mentioned handling a problem in Atlanta. The producer insisted he thought it was about music business at the time. Only later did the words take on a darker meaning. Wallo played the producer's statement twice. "You mean to tell me the language of a hit was floating around and nobody flagged it? That is how these things stay buried. People hear the words and decide they didn't hear them." The emotional toll on Wallo became visible. He spoke about his own past losses, about the nights he sat with grief so heavy it felt physical. "I begged Dirk to walk away from the cycle because I know where the cycle ends," he said. "Now I'm looking at this interview and realizing the cycle might have started earlier than any of us admitted." The confession landed with the force of a man who had carried the same weight for years and finally found a new place to set it down. Fans responded with a mix of sympathy and demand. Some praised Wallo for saying what others would not. Others accused him of opening wounds that should stay closed. The divide itself became content. Clips of people arguing in the comments were screen recorded and reposted with laughing emojis or crying emojis depending on the poster's allegiance. The culture had turned the tragedy into a living debate that refused to die. As the first wave of reaction settled, a quieter detail from Lil Tim's interview began to gain attention. He mentioned that after the shooting, while he was still on the ground wounded, he heard someone nearby saying the situation had gone exactly how it needed to. Lil Tim said the voice was unfamiliar. Wallo froze when he reached that part. Somebody stood there and decided the outcome was correct while a man was dying and another was bleeding. That is not grief. That is confirmation. The line became the new center of every discussion. The story had already grown larger than any single interview. It now carried the weight of every unanswered question the streets had carried for years. Wallo's eruption had simply given those questions a microphone. What began as one man's decision to speak had become a mirror held up to an entire generation of artists, fans, and silent witnesses. And the mirror was still rising.